Welcome to the U.S. Hemp Roundtable's webinar on what's next for hemp. This is truly a turning point time for our industry, and we wanted to share with you what we're doing and how you all can help, and kind of what the path forward is for the industry. I'm Jonathan Miller, the General Counsel of the U.S. Hemp Roundtable. I'm joined by Art Massolo, who is the president of the U.S. Hemp Roundtable, and Chris Fonts, who is a board member, but also the president of the U.S. Hemp Authority, our third-party certification organization. We're going to give some brief remarks to start things off, but then we're going to take questions and ask you to, if you have any questions, to go to the Q&A thing at the bottom of the screen and type away with questions. We will try to get to as many as possible. We asked those who signed up for the program to send questions if they wanted to, and we've got several hundred of those. So we're not going to be at a loss for questions. We're going to be in a hurry to try to address as many as possible, but hopefully we will be able to do so. Today, at this moment, we are 337 days, 8 hours, 55 minutes, and 32 seconds from the effective date and time of the potential ban on hemp products. Within that 337 days, if we are unable to get anything action taken, 95% of all hemp extract products currently on the market will be deemed Schedule I narcotics equivalent to heroin, while the remaining 5% of THC-free isolates would likely be impossible to manufacture given the limits on extraction. Most of the industrial hemp industry would be thrown into disarray, particularly grain farming and seeds, and it would severely disrupt the cannabinoid supply chain for the regulated marijuana market. Now, we talk about 337 days. We really don't have that much time because farmers are under fire right now. We have been told of farmers who are getting contracts broken for the crops that they harvested this year, that there are something up to 40% price decreases because of the potential ban. And worse yet, the next year's crops are in serious jeopardy. Farmers are right now considering, what am I going to grow next year, and need to make some decisions early in the year in terms of whether to plant seed in the spring if their products will not be, if their markets will not be open in October when they sell the products. And worst of all, we're starting to see some states treat this ban as if it's a fait accompli. Ohio is one state where we were making some really good progress on legislation, but they have most recently just passed an almost complete ban. There's a 1-year moratorium on for hemp beverages, but the turn came after this ban passed at the federal level. So that's why we are moving very quickly. And why we are working on two different avenues. First of all, that 337 days, we don't think gives us enough time to fully address what we're hoping to accomplish here. And so first step we're going to be asking for an extension, perhaps 12 months, perhaps 18 months, something to kick out this into 2027 or even into 2028. That will give us sufficient time to develop what I'll talk as Avenue 2, to promote a regulatory approach with proper transparency and scrutiny, and will also give some certainty to farmers that they can grow crops in this cycle and have markets to sell them in October and November. So that is the first path. We'll be talking about later how you can help us get to that. But getting that extension is something the industry is completely in tune with and working hard to accomplish. Second, we want a robust regulatory approach. That is a necessity to replace the ban. A lot of members of Congress that did not help us this time around were misled They were misled on any number of issues. The one thing that there is solid agreement on is that the status quo is not acceptable. It is not acceptable that we do have bad actors out there targeting kids, selling poorly manufactured products, and doing it in ways that could harm public health and safety. Now, that is not the majority of the industry, and there was no reason to have a complete ban. But the only way we're going to get a complete ban reversed ultimately is to provide clear guidance that there's going to be regulatory certainty. Now, two paths going on Capitol Hill. One in the Senate. Later this afternoon, Senator Ron Wyden, along with Senator Jeff Merkley, both Democrats out of Oregon, are going to be reintroducing their bill that was introduced in the last Congress that would promote robust regulation of the industry. Later in January, Representative Morgan Griffith, who's a conservative Republican out of Virginia, will be introducing his own bill. That is something that we believe will be bipartisan at the outset and has probably a better chance of succeeding given the fact that Griffith is the chair of the Health Subcommittee of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, which is the key committee of jurisdiction. So we will be looking forward to that introduction as well early in the year. Now, what will that look like? So we have shared our philosophies with both Wyden and with Griffith. We can't promise that everything that we've asked for will be in there, but we want to give you our sense of what we're asking for. First things first, we want to give states rights, states full authority to regulate hemp across all form factors without federal interference. So if your state has a particular permission of various form factors, if they have milligram limits that you're comfortable with, then that state will be able to have that in place. There are a number of states that do not have regulatory frameworks. And so we are asking our federal leaders to provide for a floor when it comes to a milligram limit. Right now, the milligram limit for hemp products is 0.4 milligrams per container. As everyone on this call knows, that eliminates 95% of the industry, potentially 100%. That is unacceptable. We need to raise that floor, and we've asked for that floor to be raised to at least 5 milligrams per serving, with 30 servings per container. That's at least. They might go higher. And remember, in states where there are higher limits, our philosophy would allow for that. But we've got to be politically realistic. We have been encountering a lot of reaction from folks that want to have lower limits. We started off and Griffith was at 0.1 milligrams per serving. Then we got to 1 or 2, and now we are hoping for 5 and are pretty hopeful that we will see both bills have something that has at least 5 milligrams. So I know that there are many in the industry that would like to have no limits or would like to have them much higher. We are doing what is politically possible and asking for to have at least 5 milligrams so that we can have our industry back. We oppose carve-outs of any one form factor. A lot of gossip online about beverage carve-outs. Perhaps there might be efforts to try to get a beverage carve-out or perhaps a non-intoxicating CBD carve-out. We are not going to favor those. We want to see the form factors across the board allowed and not to benefit any one form factor because it doesn't make any logical sense and there's no political impetus for that. We want to make sure that we have robust federal regulation, including good manufacturing practices, third-party testing, truth in labeling, prohibiting misleading packaging, and banning sales to minors. We want to ban synthetic and artificial cannabinoids that masquerade as hemp, the THCP and THCOs of the world, but allow for bioconversions for naturally occurring cannabinoids in greater than trace amounts. We want to make sure that the kind of conversions that the beverage industry uses, for example, are going to be permitted. And finally, we want a unity-first approach. We are open to collaboration. We want bipartisan solutions that keep the entire industry alive. This is an existential fight. We cannot let perfect be the enemy of the good. We need to understand where we start from. We start from a 0.4 milligram per container. We start from 70 four members of the Senate voted against us last time, and we start for only having 337 days to fix this if we don't get an extension. And so the U.S. Hemp Roundtable is going to do whatever we can to protect the industry and to make sure that we have a viable industry both this year and going forward. Let me turn the floor over to Art and Chris. Art is going to talk a little bit about the work that's being done with the alcohol industry to make sure that what we consider the bad actors who've been trying to ban us, that we're trying to reduce that threat. And then Chris is going to talk a little bit about how we are the real challenge here. A lot of questions being raised. Is it really 95%? Is it really 100%? Chris will help go through that. Art, you want to talk about alcohol and share your background in the space?
Sure. Thanks everybody for attending today. My name is Art Massolo. I'm the Vice President of Business Development of Cycling Frog, President of the U.S. Hemp Roundtable. We've been working very, very hard with the alcohol community for the past 4 years since we launched the THCA drinks that have been so successful in the U.S. market. I can tell you that there's one faction of the alcohol industry, which are the brands, so the supply side, who have been the least interested in the future of the hemp industry. The distributor networks and the retailer networks have been in full support of what we have been doing. We have actually been replacing a lot of the revenue generated through the alcohol industry with our hemp drinks and hemp gummies, even within those states that we sell these drinks. So I want to clarify that there is no beverage carve out in anything that we are discussing. What we are discussing is states' rights to decide on which form factors they would like to see uh, uh, be a success within those states, and then have a milligram cap that honestly, that's not anywhere near where we want to be as a brand or as a company or as an industry, but it is what we have been told by legislators. And at this point, we are at zero point 0.4 milligrams per container versus the 5 milligrams per serving that we've been, suggested by many of the legislators that that's where we should be. So I hope that that clears up a little bit on the alcohol side. The retailers and the distributors have been great, great advocates of our industry, and we are working very, very closely with the associations within those groups as well. I can also allude to the work that we've been doing with the marijuana industry. We are part of many conversations with the marijuana industry on one plant conversations, regulating THC. Those are all incredible endeavors that we should really be focusing on. But unfortunately, we don't have many days before the hemp industry gets banned. So we are doing whatever we can strategically to hopefully allow us all to sleep well at night and get us going into 2026 with a good look for the future of our industry.
Thanks, Art. Chris, can you help share where our problem is greater than the advocates of this legislation have said, both in terms of non-intoxicating as well as the zero THC, as well as the seed and grain challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple core issues with the bill. Some of them are obvious when you first read them, and some of them are a little more subtle. The obvious ones, zero point 0.4 milligrams per container of THC allowed as a maximum. Even if we go all the way to a finished good, this pretty much eliminates all products outside of fiber that is created by hemp. Even something as 1 gallon of hemp seed oil, which is grass and sold in grocery stores, can have up to 40 milligrams of THC in it, 38.4 or so. So this is egregious all the way to the point of hemp seed oil to cook with or to put in your foods is unavailable for sale at anything above 1/10 of a gallon. It's just not tenable. So obviously this is the one that everyone sees and knows right off the bat. The zero point 0.4 milligrams is really tough to hit for any of the products out there on the market. Then let's take it a step back. Okay, what if you have topicals? What if you have CBD isolates? Well, the next step back is the intermediate product. So once it's extracted and distilled and sent to a producer, that in between phase, the second you extract any cannabinoids out of the plant material, you're going to exceed that 0.3% total THC right off the bat, even at the crude level before you distill it. So there's no way to extract the cannabinoids out of the plant in a methodology that results in a product that is safe to then use for products or ship to another co-packer or manufacturer or anything like that. So it pretty much kills it there. And even if you can figure out a work around that, we go all the way down to the very, 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 very beginning of this with seed. Any seed that would produce a plant that's above 0.3% total THC is considered marijuana and can no longer be shipped across the country. Now, this doesn't sound horrible right off the bat, but a couple things. You have to realize that the zero point 0.3 total THC we've all been living under has not been post-harvest and has not been on the truck. It's 30 days pre-harvest. Additionally, the USDA's ruling on this is that they're leveraging 87.7% of the THCA, not 100% of the THCA. Current definition brings in 100% of the THCA, so it makes it more stringent, and then it applies it to post-harvest, intermediate, and finished goods. It's just not tenable. So the only product factors that would really exist beyond this definition taking place would be hemp fiber.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Art. So the first question that we're getting a lot from you all is, what can we do? And number one, we don't have a full strategy yet because there's still a lot of meetings that need to be had. But we do have an immediate ask for you, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see what that ask is. This is the Hemp Roundtable website, hempsupporter.com. You will see now a countdown clock that goes through how long we have until the ban goes into effect. And then importantly, has a link here that allows you to block the ban by emailing your members of Congress to encourage them to support an extension. You'll see here, this is my members of Congress, Senator Mitch McConnell and Senator Rand Paul, ironically, as well as Representative Barr. We have a letter in here that is drafted, but we encourage you to personalize that with your own stories. And so additionally, we will be sending you the code tomorrow the HTML code that will allow you to put these clocks on your websites. So if you're a manufacturer product, if you're a retailer, if you've got some website that reaches the cannabis or hemp industries, we ask you to put this countdown clock on there so that folks understand the urgency of this, and they also have a way by clicking that button to get their members of Congress. Now, ultimately, when you click that button, we will be having a more direct ask. And in the coming days, we are very hopeful that we will see legislation introduced that will extend the ban moratorium for a year or even 18 months. We've been meeting with Republicans and Democrats. We've gotten some commitments. We can't announce them publicly right now, but we're very hopeful that before the holidays that there will be either a bill introduced or a letter circulated, and that we will ask you through that portal to email your members of Congress and asking them to co-sponsor that extension bill or to sign on to a letter or perhaps both. So please stay tuned. We wish we had this all ready to go now, but it takes some time to get people active on the federal level. Right now, you can just email your members of Congress and encourage them to support an extension. But we will have for you, as soon as it's available, a pathway for you to directly get your members of Congress to commit to securing that extension. Ultimately, the Ron Wyden Merkley bill will be introduced, we think, this afternoon. The Morgan Griffith bill will be introduced early in January. There'll be opportunities for you to encourage co-sponsorship of those bills as well. But right now, our immediate focus is to get this extension and to get as many members of Congress to support that. All right, so we have 469, and by the way, you can look in, I believe, the chat, and Caitlin has put in there the links to the campaign to get email your members of Congress, as well as the HTML code that you can immediately put on your website. If you have trouble accessing the chat, we will be sending you all this via email. So right now, I see 469 people here. There are probably hundreds more that are watching this as a video later, and we're going to try to get to as many questions in the next 37 minutes as possible, and then feel free to send us emails afterwards if we didn't get around to your question. So the first question is, what's the percentage? Mike Sill asked, what's the percentage chance that the 2-year moratorium will take place? I wish I could give you a ballpark number, but I can tell you that the more and more people that we've been meeting with on the Hill, the more there's what I call buyer's remorse for senators who voted to table Rand Paul's motion, that they were put in a very difficult position whether to keep government open or to support the hemp industry. They also were promised that this was not going to impact products like CBD, which it most certainly does. And so we are very hopeful that people will realize, whether they support us or not, that this needs more time for discussion and will support an extension of the ban. If the new legislation is not reversed, will states be able to create pathways for non-intoxicating hemp products separate for recreational and medical cannabis programs? Good question. It's still uncertain. We're really hopeful we do reverse the legislation. But what will happen is, if this goes into effect, there still will be states' ability to have intrastate programs, just like they have intrastate programs for marijuana. It's unclear whether the federal government will act on them, but conceivably there could be a hemp program where you grow the hemp in Kentucky, you process it in Kentucky, you manufacture in Kentucky, you sell it in Kentucky. Unfortunately, even under that scenario, you're still federally illegal. So you face banking issues, you face e-commerce issues, you face all the problems that the marijuana industry faces. So that is a possible avenue, but it's not one that we give much hope for. And so we are struggling to make sure that doesn't happen. All right, the next question, this is something Art mentioned, so I'll let him take, but is there any effort in merging hemp and marijuana advocacy to promote the whole plant in this guise?
Yeah, we're part of 4 or 5 different discussions on one plant regulating THC and the molecules from the cannabis plant. The question is when that time is right to present a document that states those pathways. So that is a very lengthy conversation that will take actual law changes, many laws to change, and would see hemp banned way before that ever happened, unfortunately. So as we continue to progress on the extension, the bills that will be placed forward now and in January, we hope to continue a very, very open and candid and transparent conversation with the marijuana industry to create a cannabis industry for many, many more years to come.
Great. Chris, got a question for you from Scott Neruzzi. Will you speak to the total THC per COA as a goal? That way we'd know what level of THC flower that could be potentially sold.
Yeah, so underneath the existing pending legislative change, definition change, that would be 0.3% total THC. That would be D9 plus all THCA. That 0.3 number would be required to be on the COA as the finished good. Under the Griffith bill, if we have our druthers, the hope would be that would be the federal backstop. However, states would be able to override that, and then the federal government would honor that. So if a state like Tennessee said, hey, you could sell up to 15% or 20% or even 30% THCA product, then the federal government would not view that as a controlled substance because the state is preordained and authorized it, and you'd be able to sell those products in that state. So what this does is it really pushes some of the more controversial subjects to the state level with local municipalities and local governments to have that conversation with the local community instead of a national one.
Jeffrey Seltzer asked, putting political leanings aside, is there a path for direct intervention dialogue with the president as well as Congress? The answer is absolutely yes. The during the debate over the Rand Paul effort to strip the CR, the continuing resolution, strip the ban language from there. There was a release, or there was some interview given to NBC that seemed to indicate that the president supported the ban. We've been meeting with folks at the White House and understand that that is not the president's position, that it is not established either way right now. He has a lot of folks in the White House that are on different sides of this issue. And so advocacy for the president will be real important. Interestingly, one of our White House contacts let us know that the president is getting hammered at Mar-a-Lago by some of his club members who use CBD or who take gummies or drink hemp beverages. And so he's being awakened to this. He didn't realize this was part of this. So we're hopeful that the president can be convinced to come to our side, because as everyone knows who follows politics, where the president goes, so much of the Republicans in Congress go. Art, here's a question. What's the difference between alcohol restriction and hemp regulation? And I guess I'll make that a broader question is, at the state level, could we see hemp be treated similar to, particularly hemp beverages, treated similar to alcohol in terms of taxation and registration? And what does that all look like?
Yeah, we would love to have at least the hemp beverages and possibly other form factors be regulated through TTB. Now, the problem is that TTB has not shown any interest in regulating any of our products. So many of the states right now are under alcohol control as well as agriculture control. So it really will depend on the state at the moment. We're working very hard to give regulatory pathways to the appropriate group legislatively. So the differences between alcohol legislation and hemp legislation is that they've been around for 95 years and have been lobbying and continue to lobby for their industry very, very hard. We are a 8-year-old industry, really. I mean, 2014, you can start from there as well. But really, with these form factors that have higher dosages of THC in them, this is not going to be, if we do get through this ban, this is not going to be the end of our fight. This is going to be something that will be discussed and debated and strategized for many, many more years to come, as the alcohol industry insiders have been telling us for years. So I think that's the most honest answer I can give at the moment.
Great. Interesting question here for you, Chris. If a ban does happen, can gummies and supplements be frozen without altering the effects of products so that customers can stock up?
Can it be frozen? Meaning, sorry.
Can people buy a lot of gummies and supplements and put it in their freezer, and will that affect the?
Yeah, great question. So, this gets into a legal advice territory. So, hashtag not a lawyer, hashtag right. But think about the practicality of that. Yes, you can absolutely do that. What is in your freezer? If it turns to marijuana, you're in possession of marijuana. Now, you may have a state that is totally fine with this, and there's no consequence at a local level for you to do so. And I highly doubt that a federal agency is going to be raiding your personal freezer anytime soon, so it's probably not a problem there either. However, by definition, you would be storing marijuana, not hemp products at that time. So that's up to your discretion and your local municipality rules.
And I also like to suggest that there are expiration dates that we put onto our products. So, if it's frozen, I guess I haven't really done that yet, but great question. We'll have to test it out.
All right. So let's get to work to make sure we don't have this happen. Brian Boning asks, what is a container? Great question. The FDA is supposed to answer that within 90 days of passage of the bill. So we'll be hearing from them in terms of what that means. There's something talking about potentially putting wrappers around gummies. But again, it is whatever a container is decided on. Having that 0.4 milligrams per container is a real problem. So we'll take what the FDA says and perhaps apply that if they come up with a different container restriction through the regulation. A lot of people are asking a similar question. Is calling your member of Congress better than sending an email? And is seeing your member of Congress better than that? The answer is we encourage you to do all of the above. The easiest for you to do is to send this email. And that's the easiest way for you not only to make your voice said, but also to encourage your friends. It's much harder for you to call a bunch of people and ask them to make phone calls. Much easier for you to get an email out that gets them just to click a link and to send that email. It is just as good as to make a phone call. And so what we did during the last fire drill, and we'll be doing this time around, we'll be sending you phone call information and talking points. Generally, when you make a phone call, you're going to be talking to either an answering machine or to an intern who answers the phone, and so it's not really an opportunity to make much of an advocacy pitch other than yes or no. And so what you'll be doing is making a phone call saying, please extend the ban for another year, another 18 months. So that really is the short message. But best of all is seeing your members of Congress. Is go they're going to be home for the Christmas and Hanukkah holidays. So please try to make an opportunity to go to the office in their districts and in their states. Perhaps get an appointment with them. That's going to be a lot harder with senators, but if you get a group together, make an appointment to meet with your senators. But at a minimum, go see the staff and have your say with them. The roundtable has regular fly-ins where our members go and meet with members of Congress. You should not hesitate to fly to D.C. as well and to try to meet with your members of Congress. We encourage that. It's obviously that is the most expensive and time-consuming, but so I would encourage you probably more efficient to go see them when they're home in their districts or their staff in their districts. But it's still very important for you to have that personal connection. Are there specific representatives or senators that we need to focus on? Right now, there isn't. Right now, we're going to have either a bill or a letter introduced where we're going to ask every member of Congress to sign on. Now, certainly some are more powerful and some are more important than others. But we want to get as many members of Congress to co-sponsor the legislation or to sign the letter. And the more the merrier. And really understand, if you're from Florida, a congressman from Kentucky just really doesn't care that much what you have to say. And so it's not effective for you to call a bunch of senators or representatives that don't represent you. But your member of Congress gives a whole lot of credit to what you have to say. They are going, whether you love or you hate politicians, you understand that they care about getting reelected. And if they hear from a ton of members of Congress, and this is an election year coming up, they hear from a ton of their constituents that people are upset that they don't want their CBD or their hemp beverages taken away, that really does make a difference. So I know we're all cynical about politics and politicians, but they do listen to you. So please make every effort to try to reach out to your members of Congress. I see that the North Carolina Cannabis Chamber is putting the countdown clock on their website. We're very grateful to you, Kelly Riddle. She asked, what can we do with state level legislators in each of our states? That's also a great audience because members of Congress and senators listen to what state legislators say. And so it's twofold. Number one, getting state legislators engaged on this issue will help get them in touch with their members of Congress. But also, we have efforts to ban hemp on the state level that we're going to be fighting, and getting state legislators in our corner will be helpful. Chris, how would the ban affect medical cannabis?
This is a great question and way more nuanced than it seems like it should be on the surface level. Look, at the surface, it doesn't, right? This is affecting hemp, and it's not really affecting what would be classified as marijuana, other than more hemp products that are hemp today would be marijuana tomorrow, so to speak. But it's actually more complicated than that. And the reality is, a lot of the minor cannabinoids that are existing in both the adult use and medical markets now are actually coming from hemp. And any sort of non-THC effects-based products in these markets would kind of cease to exist. It's not really super beneficial or easy in the marijuana space to grow CBD flower or to grow THCV or CBC or make any of those things. So the only way it's been functioning is by bringing it in through the hemp market, which is more financially feasible for those folks. So because of that, that dries up, and all of a sudden your medical market becomes very narrow channel, pretty much THC only products, very lack of CBD, lack of THCV, CBC, CBG, and other things that have traditionally been huge components of the medical market, bringing more cannabinoids for more efficacy for specific issues.
Great, thanks. Does anonymous person ask, does anyone know where Senator Collins from Maine stands? Great question. She's very, very important. She is the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, which is very powerful. She was not on our side. She was part of the effort to secure the ban in the bill. And when you asked her about it, she would just defer to Senator McConnell and say that she, basically said what McConnell wants to do, she will do. Senator Collins is up for a very tough re-election fight, and she's in a state of Maine that has a strong hemp industry. She needs to hear from, if you're a Mainer on this call, she needs to hear from you, and she needs to hear from a lot of you. And that's someone that you should go see while she's in the state, while she's campaigning, and let her know how you feel. We saw a very effective, at a town hall meeting, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina was questioned by a mom of a patient who uses CBD for her health and wellness, and she was crying, saying that Lindsey Graham voted to take away the CBD, and Graham's response was, I didn't know. He was assured that these products would be protected, and he didn't realize that even the products that kids use will have enough THC in them to trigger the ban, even though they're non-intoxicating. So, Mainers out there, please go see Senator Collins when she's home. Please do it politely. There's nothing to yell at her or to use vindictively. We need more friends. We don't need to make more enemies. But let her know how important it is that she fix this problem that she helped create. Art, are there any attempts to partner with the healthcare industry, more specifically areas of mental health and pain management, calling for federal regulation?
Yeah, I mean, we're working very closely with the supplements industry. Listen, pharma has been incredibly quiet in the background, as we all know. So it's quite difficult to discuss anything in depth with their lobbying organizations or associations. So I would say yes, it's probably not as strong as our relationships with the alcohol, supplements, and marijuana industries, though.
Caitlin, I'm getting a number of questions of people saying that they can't access the links in the chat and to put them in the Q&A. If you're able to do that, please do. But if not, again, we will send all that information for you in an email tomorrow. Got a number of questions about what efforts are being made by all different organizations in the space to fight together, and do we have adequate lobbying power to counter the big groups that have been fighting us? The answer is yes and yes. We meet regularly. All of the lobbyists in the hemp space meet regularly on Fridays to discuss strategy. We're going to have an in-person meeting in January where we'll gather all the lobbyists around the table to coordinate efforts. Not every organization agrees on every point, and so we're going to have to agree to disagree on certain elements. But we're all united about getting an extension, and we're all united about having states have the rights to regulate these products. And so we are working together. We've got some of the best, most powerful lobbying firms in the business working for us. And one of the challenges, we have so many of them that we've got to make sure that we're all on the same page. And that's something that we're working pretty hard on. Any new rumblings on or rescheduling marijuana with any availability, with any validity, excuse me. We're hearing the same things you are. I'm very skeptical about descheduling. I don't think that there is the political willpower for that right now. But rescheduling seems to be pretty much on the agenda. And from what people on the inside say, it's just a matter of when, not if, and that a lot of talk is about the President Trump doing it in an election year, so next year as opposed to right now, where he would get the maximum effect of that. And so we're all kind of on pins and needles. Well, it's important rescheduling, particularly if we get this ban in effect, because getting it rescheduled would take away a lot of the problems that marijuana faces and that hemp would face as well. So we will be following that closely. There's been discussion that the DEA, FDA might not have the financial resources for enforcement. Can you speak to that and the potential of a Cole memo approach by the Fed? Chris, I think I've seen you answer this online. I think there's an important answer to this.
Yeah, I mean, look, even if the FDA and the DEA don't have the resources or don't put the resources directly into it, there's a cascading domino effect of multiple checkpoints that come into question, which would make things very difficult. So let's say this all happened. We were unable to reverse it or fix it, and anything above 0.4 milligrams of THC per container is now classified as marijuana. Even if DEA and FDA says, hey, we're going to take a lack of enforcement policy on this because we don't have the efforts, you still have states. You still have local or local retailers. You have local retail licenses. You have credit card processing. You have banking. You have your website platform, social media. It's not just will the FDA leave us alone. It's more about will banks bank you? Will credit card processors process your payments, et cetera? So there's a lot of other checks and balances systems here that kind of fall apart. Does CVS want to continue selling a CBD topical when it makes them subject to 280E taxes? Not a chance. So you lose a giant swath of your retail opportunities. You lose a giant swath of your banking and administration opportunities and your software platforms as well. It becomes very untenable very quick.
Alice Peterson asks, is it outside the realm of reason that RFK Jr. could be helpful to our cause since RFK favors natural wellness? I know there's been a lot of efforts to try to get him. We've been meeting with his key staff, and there is hope, particularly on the CBD side, that RFK might be able to weigh in. If you all have any connections to him or supported his campaigns in the past, we do encourage you to make that link as well. MJ Balazan asks if our state allows us to sell less than 0.3% products, CBD and CBN products. Can we ship from our legal state online to other states? You can today, and if nothing changes in the law, 340 days from now, you won't be able to. Interstate commerce would be prohibited. So that is one of the key things that we're going to be fighting for. We want to have states' rights, but we also want to make sure that there can be shipments across states. There can be, stuff sold on the internet, and that interstate commerce will not be banned. I've been told by Caitlin that it is impossible to post the HTML code in the chat, or it's been possible to copy and paste it, and she's not able to get into Q&A. But again, I assure you that HTML code will be sent to you in an email shortly after this call. So, and it is in the Q&A apparently, so you can take a look and see if you can copy it there. Alyssa Jubileer, I'm really screwing up your name, Alyssa. I'm sorry about that. But has there been any consideration to legal action related to the funding bill being an inappropriate vehicle for an industry ban, violation of administrative procedures, due process, et cetera? Unfortunately, the legal avenues are really tough. Conceivably, there might be a constitutional argument to be made, but Congress has passed this, and it is legal as far as they're concerned. And to overturn that would be very, very difficult and very, very expensive. And again, we might be spending a ton of money for something that doesn't have a chance. So our focus is through trying to get this change from a legislative standpoint. All right. Many of us operate in the DTC space, D2C space, direct to consumer, where enforcement happens not through state regulations, but through technology platforms. There's a bill in California that sets a precedent for banning online sales. What are we doing to advocate specifically for D2C protections and to engage the tech platforms that effectively determine our ability to reach consumers? This is something that we have been trying to fight for in California. Have been unsuccessful, but direct-to-consumer is a major component of our industry and something that we'll be continuing to address, and we'll be trying to fight any particular bans of that as that approaches. However, that is, as you saw in California, a very difficult challenge, and our focus is primarily let's get this stuff legal. If we have to have a fight later down the road for DDC, we can fight that as well. All right, same questions. In your conversations and proposals to the federal and state regulators, have you considered appropriate tax plans to give states and federal governments a win? Absolutely. Art, do you want to talk a little bit about how states tax alcohol and how potentially that might apply to hemp?
Yeah, sure. In many states where we're rewriting bills and have changed bills, you either have a fixed percentage of sales that would go like a 5% to 10% range. There's a beer tax and there's a spirits tax, beer and wine tax. So spirits and wine tax, all very different numbers. Spirits taxes are very high. Beer taxes are typically very low. We tend to always start with the beer tax, and folks who want to see more revenue being generated in their state go for the spirits tax. So, as a company, we are probably happy, if you can say the word happy, at about a 10% rate. That's the kind of the highest max that we would like to see a state to go. Now, what has not been discussed are federal licensing nor federal taxation yet. This has not been a topic that's been really brought up in any of our conversations, which is surprising considering how much they all like money. So I'm assuming that Jonathan and our groups, as we move forward with these new bills, that these will be discussed at the federal level as well.
Chris Funtz, that you wanted to weigh in on a D2C question.
Oh yeah, I think we had accidentally cleared it in the Q&A when we were answering a different question. I can't see the question now, but it was essentially, what is the pathway for D2C sales? Is this being protected? Is this being considered? Look, D2C is sort of a hot topic amongst some of the larger stakeholders in the group, but I think everybody in the hemp space is very adamant about wanting to protect D2C as much as possible. To the extent that we can do so is up to be determined, I think. But is my personal goal, and I think the goal of everybody on this call, to attempt to protect that as much as is feasible.
Yeah, we also don't have access to major retail at the moment in the United States. We're not in Walmart, we're not in Costco, we're not in Kroger, and any of the places where people typically go shopping. So over time, D2C will be a very, very useful tool for many of our products, but also be a marketing tool that we can use to generate more traffic going into regular retail. That's where every CPG company has had its success. Obviously, we'll be able to, through that process, be able to sell on Amazon and other places like that as well.
Stephanie Noblet asks, Representative Nancy Mace has introduced a bill to repeal the ban. Does the roundtable support the bill? And if the bill were to pass, would the roundtable continue to advocate for regulation of hemp products? We certainly support striking the hemp ban language out of the law, but we realize that we're really grateful to Representative Mace for her continuing leadership on this issue. But from what we have learned politically, that having a strike and not having something to replace it with instantly is not a viable path. So we're hopeful that the Griffith or the Wyden efforts, or maybe a new effort, will include striking that provision and replacing it with regulation. What about consumers who still face the negative consequences to THC consumption? How can we advocate for these products while people are still getting arrested, losing their jobs, et cetera? Good question. Chris, you want to take that one?
Yeah, certainly. Look, this is a real concern, both for myself, who's been negatively impacted multiple times from the war on drugs, and to a lot of people I know. At the end of the day, in a perfect scenario, we'd have complete decriminalization and we'd have solutions for those that have been negatively impacted in order to make those wrongs now right. But this is a much larger lift than is possible. So I think from my perspective, the goal is to not make things worse by taking current legal products and now making those criminal as well, to stop new people who currently wouldn't be going to jail for the possession. Now all of a sudden they are going to jail for possession. So this is sort of step one in a multi-tiered process that's required to really get true parity and fairness and equity to those that have been negatively impacted. It's something I'm very passionate about and happy to talk about offline.
Chase Hudson asks, is there discussion on funneling CBD exclusively into the pharma industry? This has been something that we've been worried about since 2014 when the first Farm Bill passed. We really haven't seen this happen. We've seen the pharma industry, particularly Jazz Pharmaceuticals, which makes Epidiolex, make sure that their product lines are exempted from any bans in which they've been successful. But we have not been seeing any aggressive lobbying campaign, at least not a public one, to try to get rid of the retail markets. And they assure us privately that they're not doing it as well. But certainly trust but verify. It's something that we're continuing to monitor. Jeffrey Seltzer asks, may I ask how the roundtable is funded in general? An endeavor such as this is not inexpensive, excuse me. Are you doing fundraisers for the purpose of paying for the work you are doing? We are funded almost exclusively by membership dues. If folks want to be a member of the roundtable, go to hempsupporter.com and find out how they can participate. We even have a level for folks who are just consumers out there that don't have the resources to join as a company. That is a $10 a month fee. It's the Hemp Supporter Plus program. And if you just want to make a contribution to us, we'll take those as well. But our funding comes 99% of it comes from our members who pay their dues. Do we have any idea of what FDA and DEA make of the legislation? Are they looking forward to enforcing it? Were they consulted before this? I know the FDA was consulted, and I think that there is. I'm hopeful a bit of buyer's remorse. I think they were very involved in drafting this, and I don't think anybody over there was looking for the whole industry to go kaput. We have some really good relationships with FDA. We don't agree on everything with them, but the ones that we were working with are making a serious effort to help come up with a regulatory strategy. The FDA folks that I deal with are very supportive of the Griffith bill, for example. And so again, we're not going to agree on everything. They're going to have a lot more stringent regulations than we might want to have, but there are people of good faith at that agency. As far as the DEA has got burned when they tried to go after hemp back in 2014 through 18. I don't think they have much of an appetite for enforcement, to kind of go back to the questions that Chris answered earlier. But you never know with them, and when they have enforcement actions, those involve criminality, and so that's something that we need to keep very clear. All right, we have 5 minutes left. I'm in Pennsylvania. Brian Boning says, I'm in Pennsylvania with Fetterman and McCormick. They could care less, is the feedback I get. How do I sway them? When we've met with Fetterman, he's been supportive in person, but unfortunately, he voted with the folks that against the Rand Paul bill. So they just need to continue to hear from you and continue to hear from your friends. And so I would continue not to give up and to just keep your folks really important out there continuing. Okay, good question here from Carol Baker. With all the people on board being mostly manufacturers, how can we feel comfortable that the Hemp Roundtable is looking out for small business owners' best interests, the businesses that came together to create the organization? We don't have the funds or unified voices as the big boxes do. Chris, you want to take that one?
Oh, sure. I'd also like to address a different question when I'm done with this one. Yeah, that's a legit question. I think there's a number of us on the board that are not just the big brands. We are the small business. I'll speak for myself. I run a family business. We've never taken investment capital, and we've built this with our what little meager savings I had saved up until the midpoint in my life, so to speak. And if this thing's gone, I lose everything. Any opportunity to pass down to my kids, any opportunity to secure retirement, I'm toast. And there's quite a few people on our board that are in this situation. So I know that there's a lot of rhetoric out there, and it can feel like the roundtable is being puppeteered by big industry, but it really is a lot of mom and pop businesses on the line here that are doing our best to make things happen. And if you want your voice heard, participation in these meetings are possible. There's lots of groups out there to get engaged in, joining the roundtable. If you can become a board member, great. If not, interfacing with people that are on the board to let your voice be heard. There's lots of ways to do that, and we encourage you to do so.
And you had another answer you wanted to give, Chris?
Oh, yeah, there's been a couple questions in here, and one of them was a question we already answered, but it was reframed. And then we have two or three other questions all about how the 5 milligrams on a COA impacts total THC with flower and pre-rolls. So this is a really simple math equation. 0.3% total THC, you're essentially going to times however many milligrams of weight in your product is. So if you have a 1 gram pre-roll, that's 1,000 milligrams. So what is 0.3% of 1,000 milligrams? Well, that's 3 milligrams, right? So you have to hit within that 5 milligram limit in order for it to be a product. That would work. But that means that your pre-roll has to be 0.3% total THC or below. So it's going to be really difficult. I kind of think I know where this question is going. How small of a flower product can you make, even at the 0.3% in order to make the 5 milligram? It's twofold problem. You're getting hit by the percentage and you're getting hit by the total. So there's no real tenable option in there to get flower across the board in a manner that looks like anything that's available today. Not even really the type 3 high CBD flower. That may have a tenable solution, but it's still very difficult. I hope that answers.
Final question. Senator Ted Budd is having a town hall tonight. Should we call in? Yes. Anytime you've got a member of Congress that is doing a town hall, that should be your cue to call in, to attend the town hall if you can, if it's in person, to send emails. The more that that they hear from their constituents that this is something that is going to be an existential threat to the industry, the better opportunity we're going to have as success. So let me stop there. Thank you all for joining us. We will get you this email with the link to be able to put the countdown clock on your website, with the link to be able to contact your members of Congress. Art, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, Jonathan, will we be able to respond to a lot of the questions that haven't been answered
Yeah.
yet? There's a whole bunch on here that I would love
Yeah.
to discuss, and they're
Yeah.
all very salient. So.
Yeah, there's a ton of questions. So we're going to take these and get some answers back to you. And again, if you'd like to, if you didn't get a question answered, please feel free to send us an email to info@hempsupporter.com, and we'll be happy to take your questions. So last call, please help. Please put this put this thing on top of your website, and please let your members of Congress know how important it is to get an extension. Art,
I'd also just like to add that we will be presenting quite soon a path forward on how to help, what to do. This is that we are in a, very interesting situation now where a lot of rumors are flying and a lot of, people don't know which direction we're going. Hopefully within the next, would you say 2 weeks, Jonathan?
Yeah, we're very hopeful that we will have a bill or a letter that will serve to extend the ban moratorium that will allow you to have specific way to get your members of Congress on board. But in the meantime, it does not hurt to use our portal now to send an email to your member of Congress to lay the groundwork for that. And we do encourage you to do that.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you
Thank
next time. And we appreciate your all's involvement.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.